Okay, it looks like we are live. Just want to make sure. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to today's webinar. I am Nakia Gray, your host. Hopefully, actually, before we get started, if you could just type something in the chat box so that I know that you can see me and hear me okay. I would appreciate that. There should be a chat wing right below the video. Just want to make sure that everything is going well for the technical pieces, because webinars and techie things can get a little weird sometimes. So if someone could please let me know, can you hear me? Thank you so much, Robin. I am so glad. I just like to do a little quick technical test before I get started. So what I'm going to do is going to go ahead and pull up the slides. Actually, let's do this. I'm going to share my screen. If you've ever been on this webinar platform, uses Google Hangouts. If you've ever been on a Google Hangout, it does this really weird thing when you go to share your screen, but just hang tight. It does. I'm not going anywhere. Just want to warn you of that. Okay, so today's webinar is on the topic, tools and resources for running a virtual law practice. Today is Thursday, December 3rd, 2015, and this is a live webinar. Hello, everyone. I am seeing your comments in the chat, so thank you so much for that. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I want to just welcome everyone to the webinar. I'm really glad that you're here. You will definitely know by the end of this webinar how much I truly enjoy webinars. I do them all the time for my clients and potential clients. And so the opportunity to do this for my colleagues is really kind of exciting and fun for me. Hello, Miss Richardson Thompson. Glad that you are here. So you actually got us right into where we're going to go today. Our agenda, we're going to do welcome and introductions. So I want to start with that. I want you to just pop into the chat and let me know where you are in your practice. Are you already practicing virtually? If you are, just say already virtual. If you are considering it, just put considering. If you have no idea what virtual law is and you just joined this webinar because you want to learn more, you can say that. I just want to get an idea of the audience. So if you could just pop in to the chat and let me know where you are, that would be great. And so while you do that, I'll continue with what our agenda is going to be for today. We'll do welcome and introductions. I'm going to talk about what virtual law practice is and what it's not, because sometimes there can be a little confusion. And then I'm going to give you some background about me, very brief about me and my law firm. And then I'm going to talk about ways to incorporate virtual practice into a traditional law practice. Then I'm going to get into the tools and do some demos. So I know we're only scheduled for an hour, so I'm going to try to really get through that background stuff really quickly, because I wanted this to be an interactive session, and I want to have plenty of time at the end for questions and to answer those and to actually show you how some of this stuff works. I've done a couple of presentations and people are always intrigued, but I thought it would be better to do on a webinar to show you exactly how these tools are and how they're used. So we're going to do that. Okay, so we do have some existing and some considering. So thank you so much for that. That is helpful for me to know. Okay, so first let's talk about a background on virtual law practice, what it is. Well, what it is not. A lot of times, because of the word virtual, I think that sometimes people get confused with virtual office space, meaning a place where you have an address that you can meet clients and book conference rooms. And virtual law practice is very different from that. Although you may, as a virtual law practitioner, have virtual office space where you go to meet clients if you need to, it is not the same as virtual office space. Virtual law practice is the actual delivery of legal services online. And that can be full service, which is how I operate my practice. That can be integrated into a traditional service. So sometimes you may have a traditional law firm and there's one piece or one practice area that you do virtually. Or another way that is becoming extremely popular is document assembly and automation. The other way that people practice virtually is the unbundling of legal services. This is, again, very modern and becoming more common, that people, especially as clients kind of complain, so to speak, about the expense of having an attorney. The unbundling of legal services is becoming increasingly popular in terms of clients hiring you for one piece of a case rather than full representation. And there is an opinion in Maryland for the limited scope, and there is a rule that allows us to do that. So the unbundling of legal services is something I think we're going to see more of in the years to come. About me and my virtual law firm. So again, I am Nakia Gray. I have a virtual law firm. I launched my law firm in February of this year, and it has just been an extremely satisfying change for me and change of pace, because I, for the last 8 years, have been a very strong litigator. I practice family law primarily, and I worked at a medium-sized suburban law firm, and it was a lot of work, and it was a lot of time away from my family and away from doing the things that I really wanted to do. So I was looking for another way, and I knew that there had to be another way. And I did a little bit of research and looking into online businesses and learning how people are making money online and delivering services. And now, to be quite honest, wasn't quite sure whether for me what that business was going to be. I just knew I needed something that would allow me to be location independent and to be flexible. So in my research and in learning and meeting other people, I found that there was a group of people, a fairly large group of people, who had started online businesses but had no idea about the legal ramifications of that. And so that is how I kind of fell into this space. And I realized, wow, I could be an attorney who delivers legal services for businesses that are online. And that's exactly what I decided to do. So I practice intellectual property primarily. I do copyrights and trademarks, as well as business, which is, like I said, extremely rewarding. I also do estate planning, mainly because I have been doing that for so long, and it just seemed to easily go with the whole virtual thing. There's very limited in-person needed for estate planning, but I don't practice any litigation anymore, so I don't have the need to go to court. So virtual practice for me is pretty amazing. So I have a staff of about 4 virtual freelancers who do different things for me. Primarily, I work with my paralegal, whose name is Sarah, who is absolutely amazing. She is has been working in traditional law firms for many, many years, and she decided to take her services online, which was just great that we would meet. So she's a paralegal, and she handles a lot of the client and administrative stuff. And then I've got someone different for social media and graphics and website and all that kind of stuff. But my day-to-day person and face of the firm is definitely Sarah. So that's just a little bit about me. I don't want to talk too long about myself. I really want to dig into the goodies. Okay, so let's talk about ways to incorporate virtual law into your traditional practice. Again, the way that I've seen some people do this is to draft documents or agreements for people. If you're in the family law arena, drafting a separation agreement or a settlement agreement or a prenuptial agreement is something that you could definitely do virtually. You don't need the client to actually come into your office space in order to do that. So if you are an attorney on the Eastern Shore, there's no reason why an attorney in Montgomery County, a client in Montgomery County couldn't hire you to draft the prenuptial agreement for them. So, you know, that's one way that you can incorporate virtual practice into your traditional practice. Document assembly. There are lots of different software applications that you can purchase that will allow clients to enter their information into a form, and then the document will be automatically populated for them. And that works. The most common examples are going to be estate planning, getting a will done or power of attorney, and then business formation. Another way that you can incorporate virtual legal services into your traditional practice. Increasingly popular, I would say, and I've seen a lot of this, and I've done it myself, is consulting and case strategy. The truth is, many people simply cannot afford to hire lawyers. And I think that everyone probably would agree that the number of self-represented litigants trying to navigate through our court systems is out of this world right now. And a huge part of that is because they simply cannot afford it. Another part of it is that they just don't want to. They just don't necessarily see the value. They see LegalZoom, they see Rocket Lawyer, they see these ways that they can figure it out for themselves or get a book, do your own divorce and that kind of thing. And so I think as lawyers, we should not allow LegalZoom and Rocket Lawyer to come in and do that and not get a piece of that ourselves, because we have the ability to advise clients on how to navigate and how to file a motion for default if that is the case. And so with consulting and case strategy, the client is paying you for a portion of your time, but you are not entering your appearance on behalf of them. It's simply a consultation, and it could be as many consultations as they need to get them through the case. So perhaps they may meet with you before they file, then they may meet with you after they have a scheduling conference, or however the case may go. So that's another way that you can have, again, virtual practice. You do not have to have the client right in front of your face in order to consult with them and provide them with case strategy. Same with dispute resolution, mediation. If you are into mediating, this is, again, no reason why you can't be in Montgomery County and have a client in Garrett County that you are helping with doing some type of mediation. So dispute resolution is another one. And then providing templates and DIY resources. This definitely falls under the unbundling. I've seen there are several in Maryland that sell settlement agreements, separation agreements, custody and parenting agreements, those kinds of things that clients can go to your website, purchase, pay for, and they can customize them and use them themselves. Must have hardware. So if you're going to practice virtually, you've got to have a computer and preferably a laptop, because, the whole, well, I shouldn't say the whole. For me, a huge part of being virtual is I wanted to be able to travel with my family in the summer and still be able to work. So I do have a computer at home, but having a good laptop is really good too. A tablet and mobile phone, because a lot of the applications that we use, there are applications that you can download onto your phone that allow you to continue, practicing, again, being location independent and not tied necessarily to that computer at all times. A scanner is very big here because you've got to be able to get things, transmitted electronically. And so you need to have a scanner in case you do have some paper. I try to be as paperless as possible, but in the event that someone does mail me some paper, I do scan it and make sure that it's in my client portal for my clients. A hotspot for, if you want to be flexible, you can't just rely on wherever there's free Wi-Fi. And then sometimes, Panera, which is one of my favorite places to go, sometimes their Wi-Fi connection may be down or it may be slow. So I have a hotspot so that I can always get online if I need to. This goes back to reliable Wi-Fi. I do a lot of streaming and webinars. And so I have the upgraded package for Wi-Fi at my home because I can't risk, my clients not being able to see me on a webinar. Quality camera and microphone. Now, these are optional. I do a lot of video conferencing. So I have a separate camera that's not the one that's built into the computer. But if you have one that's in the computer, it works just as fine. The same with the microphone. I have a separate external microphone. In fact, I have two. One that is on the lapel so that you don't see it if I'm doing a close-up video. And then I have another one that I'm using today that I use for webinars where I'm not necessarily on camera the entire time. Must-have software. So there's lots of different softwares and apps. A lot of them do the same thing. I am going to try in this webinar to give you many options, and then I'll show you my favorites and the ones that I use. So I'm going to do some screen sharing and actually let you see how I use them and how they work. So the first is task management, and that's because you've got to be able to keep up with your staff and who's doing what, and being able to, I think that the communication, I would say my communication skills have been enhanced now that I'm virtual and I have an assistant that I have to work with virtually versus an assistant that can walk into my office every single day or pop in and say, hey, did you do this or did you do that? And so because of that, because you don't necessarily have that when you are virtual, although you could, being able to keep track of tasks and who's doing what is very important. So I've listed some here. Asana, MyCase, which we're going to get into in a little bit, which is a client portal and practice management software. Google Calendar is great at this. You can easily create tasks and assign them to people and share them on Google Calendar. Trello is another one, and Teamwork and Basecamp are team management, project management systems as well. And they're very much like Asana, but Asana is the one that I prefer to use. So I am going to hop over to Asana to show you how this works. So I created a special project here, or a special team specifically just for testing purposes. So the way that Asana works, first of all, the best part about Asana is that it's free, okay? So that's amazing. And it allows you to work with people who aren't necessarily in your organization just for a special project. So in my case, I have several different assistants for different things. And so I have the ability to invite them into a project, and it's phenomenal. So for instance, right now I've got this project and it's called Clients. So for every time someone contacts me, they become a task. And so they are a potential client. So let's call this one Potential Client Susie. And so Sarah will go in here and she will assign this client to me. So this client is going to pop up and she can say, needs a will. And she can assign me a task to contact client. And she can give me a date. Let's say I need to do that by tomorrow, and she can assign it to me. Now, After I contact Susie, I go here and I say, spoke with client, she's ready for retainer. And then I can do a task and say, send retainer, and I'll assign that to Sarah. Let's say I'll do that even for tomorrow. So now Sarah's going to get an email that tells that not only, oh, I need to make sure that comment goes in. So she'll get a email that will tell her, or a notification if she's using this on her phone or iPad, that tells her that she's got this task. Oh, you know what? Let me just make sure that you all can see. Can you all see what I'm doing on the computer? Oh, yes. Okay, good. Oh, okay. So anyway, so we can communicate there, and that way we can be sure that we know what each other is doing. And after I've contacted the client, I can check this off. And so Sarah knows that I've done my part and the next thing is up to her. This is very helpful with keeping up with potential clients. And we use this a lot of times for potential clients and even for projects that we may work on administratively. Okay, so let's go back to our, okay. So next we've got appointment scheduling and CRM. Now, again, I think because of the fact that you aren't necessarily with someone every single day, I think that it's much easier to have clients to be able to schedule their appointments and for you to be able to keep up with them. So I actually have two different websites, and so I use two different systems, but Visita is the one that I use on my law firm's website, and I'll show you that. So here, this just pops up, and this allows a client, if they go to my website, to go ahead and schedule an appointment. They can go here. This is my free complimentary information session, and they can click this and select times that they would like. And then I receive a text message and an email to approve that. That's a great way of not having to deal with the back and forth between the client calls, you miss the call, you call them back, they're not available. That back and forth can go 2, 3, 5 days. So having something on your website that allows them at whatever time to hop in and get a session with you is very beneficial for me and how I run my practice. Now, on my other website that I use for really where my unbundling and my DIY stuff happens, these appointments are paid. And so they're not, these are people that are booking a consultation or strategy session with me. So for this one, I use Acuity, which is, and I really could use this one, but to keep everything separate and so that I don't get confused, I do them separately. So Visita is where they would get the free one. And if they needed to book a legal advice session with me, they could book that from right here. So they would be right on the homepage of my website, and they would click here, select their time zone, and see my calendar and pick a time or that worked for them. I would receive it and approve it or not approve it. Which software was the scheduling software? So there are two. The first one that has the pop-up, this is for Tracy. This one is Visita, that's VCITA. Actually, I have a referral link that I will put in the chat. Okay. So this one is the one that and you can customize this with your colors and everything. If they wanted to just leave me a message, they could do that as well, or make a payment. You can do all of that from Visita. And this is about $30 a month, which is nominal compared to all that it really does. You have the ability to take payments and keep up with clients, which is super easy. And the other one was Acuity. And theirs is still on the website. It's a little different from Visita, but I needed one that would allow me to take payments. So that's why I chose this one. Now, there are free options as well. Calendly is one, and I can hop over there just so that you can see it. Calendly.com. This is a free one. You can get a free account with them, and this allows you to allows clients to be able to schedule times with you, and you can have a link on your website. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. We talked about Visita. We talked about Acuity. Contactually. Contactually is a customer relationship management system. Again, if you are looking for something that allows you to keep up with all these people that call you or email you, Contactually is great for that. I use that to keep up, to not only follow up with clients, but even potential referral sources. So I'm going to show you just my dashboard. What Contactually does is it allows me to put people in a category or a bucket, and then I set certain rules for how often I want to communicate with them. So if someone's a referral source, I may want to communicate with them every 90 days. So every day I get an email with 5 people who I need to respond to, and I can follow up right from there. You can have templates that are already, pre-made. I haven't gotten quite that far with it yet, but it's a great way to, to keep following up, and it is tied to your email. So it knows when, not only is it tied to your email, I should mention this, it's tied to your social media as well. So if someone sends me a referral on Facebook, Contactually knows that, and it will remind me that I had a conversation on, within Facebook, which is great because I get referrals from so many different sources. So that is Contactually. Next is the client portal. And this is the client portal. That's really the nuts and bolts to the virtual law practice, because that's where you're really communicating with your clients and managing your practice. So I use MyCase. There are others. Total Attorneys is one, Abacus, Clio, and Direct Law all offer the same. Do you manage all client payments through Visita? No, I don't. Actually, Visita, I don't manage my payments through there, only if they're paying for a paid session. So let me show you. When you go to schedule now, if someone wants an intellectual property session with me, it's $300 for 1 hour. So if they chose that one, yes, they would make their payment right there in Visita for that. But for client payments, no, I don't accept payments through Visita. Okay, so let's hop over to MyCase, which is the client portal. And I created, actually, I think I created a webinar testing just so that so that you can see how this works. So I actually created this client as a webinar testing client, and everything that I need for this client will be here. Okay, so this is the client's name, the staff, me and Sarah are both on here. If there are tasks that we need to do, I can have, and I can assign the task to Sarah. So Sarah, send, let's say it's a complaint. I don't know. I don't do any more litigation, but let's just pretend that I do. And I can select the due date for this date and assign that to Sarah. I always assign it to both of us. I could take me off, but I like to make sure that I still see it as well. So I always assign it to both of us, but she knows from the task that it's for her to do. And so once that task is in there, as things happen, maybe she sends it, she can go to that task and she can comment on it and say, Nakia, I sent it, client has a question or whatever, and we can communicate with one another. These comments that are on this task are just between Sarah and I. The client is not involved in that. But let's say that we're ready to go ahead and upload the document. Uh-oh. Can you hear me? I see Tracy is saying we lost volume. Let's see. Can everyone hear me? I want to make sure that we didn't have a glitch. Oh, okay. So it looks like, okay, good. Okay. Yeah. Try hitting refresh. Okay, good. Okay, so here, once we actually upload the documents, I can actually add a document right here and share it with the client. So when the client logs into my case, all of that client's documents are going to be listed here. I don't use the calendar. I'm sure that it's fine to use it, but I use Google Calendar. And so I don't really use the calendar within my case, but that is an option for you to use. What I use mostly is going to be documents, uploading documents. And what I love about it is within the document, let's say I upload the complaint and the client sends me a couple of revisions or says I need to make some changes. Well, when I make those changes and I upload it, it shows as a new version, but that old version is still there. So that helps us to keep track of multiple versions of multiple documents and for the client to be well informed of everything that's going on with their case. So if in the middle of the night, there's some document that we received from opposing counsel that the client needs, the client doesn't have to email me and wait for me to check my email and respond. The client can log right into my case, go under documents, everything related to their documents is going to be right here. And you can even have folders. So I usually have a folder that has admin. If you're doing litigation, I would probably have one that has discovery, correspondence. The same way you would set up a physical file, you would want to have folders so that it's nice and organized and clients can easily find things. We talked about tasks. That's huge. I mean, you can even have your task set way out. So I do probate. So a lot of times when we first open the case, the account may not be due for another 9 months. I can go ahead and as soon as we get that scheduling order, put all of those tasks in. So although it may be way down the line, we won't forget. Next is messages. So here is where if there were any messages between me and the test client, those messages would appear here and they stay here. So that way we can always find them. If there are notes, I usually make notes when we have conference calls, if there's something that I get from the client or whatever notes I would have. Again, this is everything that we probably all have in our physical files right here in my case. Next, time and billing. So I set this client up as an hourly client, but you could, let's say I wanted to change that. You could have it set up as a contingency, flat fee, mixed fee, or pro bono. For purposes of our example, I did that. So let's say that the client paid a retainer. It's the test client. They made a payment. Let's say they gave me a check for $2,500 deposit. I got to remember to take this out so that it doesn't throw my books off. Okay, so now you'll see here that it tells me under the time and billing what they've got in their trust and what their running balance is. But let's say that let's put in some time. Add time. So let's say that we went to court appearance for 3 hours. Okay, so now that's $900. Well, when we go to our overview, you see that their running trust balance is $1,600 because they've got uninvoiced of $900. And if we had any expenses, we could put those here. There's a filing fee right here. Oh, actually, did I do? Let's just say postage because that's what I see. Let's say that there was a $5.50 certified mail. So again, now we'll see that uninvoiced balance is changing and their running trust balance is going to change. Okay. And if we were ready to run an invoice, we would just click create an invoice. And we can make adjustments here. If we wanted to make any adjustment or add anything or delete anything, you have the ability to do that. And you have the ability to decide whether you want to show them their trust balance on the invoice or not. I would say yes, but whatever, however you want to do that. And this would automatically send directly to the client. Now, let's say that they were out of trust, and let's say this invoice was for $2,800 and they only had $2,500 and there was a balance due of $300. When they receive this invoice, they can pay it right here in my case by credit card, or they just added, they can pay from their bank account with no fee, which is great because, you know, of course, as you know, when you pay with a credit card, there's going to be some deduction coming from it. Does client have access to notes? No, the client does not have access to notes. That is just within the firm. That's a great question, Regine. So, so that's my case. Pretty much, you know, the main things that you would use my case for. There are lots of other features, but I just wanted to give you just the basics and to show you how easy it is to use. And I have to tell you, my clients absolutely love it. And it does take some getting used to for some clients. So, you know, I have a policy. My clients are not allowed to email me. They cannot email me. They must keep all communication in my case. And if they email me, I respond by copying their email and bringing it over to my case and respond. And the subject is always response to your email. And after one or two times, they get it. But I sell it to them in a way that is friendly and just to make sure that they don't feel put off by me saying not to email me, but letting them know that my case is secure and email is not. And this way we can always keep up. And sometimes, you know, I don't know about you, but my email is flooded with emails all day. And sometimes I may check it on my phone. And once I look at it, it's too much for me to respond at that time. And I intend to go back to it. But by the time I get to my desktop, there are 15 new ones and I forget to go back to that one. And so that's why the messages are so much easier to keep up with and keep me focused on whatever that one client is. Whenever there is a comment made, I'll have a little thing here. This is probably Sarah wondering why I'm telling her to send a retainer or something like that. But if there is a new comment or a new message, it's this way. And it looks this same way for the clients. Can you access my case on mobile devices? Yes, you can, which I love. I have it on my iPad and on my phone. You can't upload documents, but you can view them. So if a client uploads something for me, or a perfect example for me, this happens a lot. I may have Sarah do a draft of something or draft a letter for me. And if she uploads it and she says, Nakia, available for your review, and I'm out, I can pull it up on my iPad or on my iPhone and comment and say, great job, Sarah, go ahead and send it. So that's a great, I love the app, and the app is free. So, okay, how are we on time? Ooh, I gotta move quickly. Okay. So that's my case. Video conferencing. Again, if you're doing video conferences, I like to see people, so I do a lot of video conferencing. Google Hangout is free. Skype is free. I pay for Zoom. It's nominal. I want to say maybe $10 a month, only because it's a little more reliable. Skype, I've had issues with glitches and that kind of thing. Most importantly, I love Zoom because it allows me to record it. So if I am having a strategy session with a client that may be an hour long and they're trying to take notes while also engaging with me, I can record it so they can always go back and listen to it, which is a great benefit of Zoom. Okay, next we have electronic signing. So again, if you are not meeting with people in person, you've got to have a way for them to sign things, primarily your engagement and retainer agreements. I use HelloSign for signing of anything. I don't use it for retainers and engagement agreements. I'm gonna tell you what I use in just a second, but I use HelloSign. If this is under Google Apps, it's amazing. You can sign things yourself. You can sign, you can send something that requires another person to sign as well as you, or you can even do it when it's just others, which I love, because a lot of times I may draft a work for hire agreement for a client and a freelancer, and I'm not a party to that contract, but I'm the one that's drafting it. So I can, through HelloSign, send it to my client and send it to the freelancer or the graphic designer, and they both sign it and it comes back to me, and now we can upload it to my case. So HelloSign is great for that. EchoSign does the same thing, the same with DocuSign. HelloSign is just what I use because I use Google Apps for everything. I use Google for Gmail, Calendar, Google Hangouts, HelloSign, HelloFax. Those are all Google apps, and it's just easy for me to have all of those under one sign-in. So what I use for retainers and engagement agreements is 17 Hats, which is a great tool made by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs, and it gets the name. Oh, let me hop over here in 17 Hats. I created a testing project. What I love about it is it allows you to wear 17 different hats. It does 17 different things. Now, I don't use it for everything that it does, but I use it for a lot, especially for templates and getting out contracts and getting them signed. So let's say this webinar testing is a new project, and what I want to do, I need to, let's see, I think I needed to do this. I have to have this is the client. They're trying to do this with, okay. So here is the project. So let's say this is a potential client, webinar testing. What I want to do is send them a contract to sign. And I have templates that are already created. So let's say that they are coming to me for probate administration. I'm just going to pick that one because it's there. When I pick it, it automatically populates, and this pretty much is the same. And once I have that in there, you can have as many contracts as you need. You have that in there and you save it. And then when you go to send it, here are the template for the emails, because I have the same ones and I don't need to do that every single time. So if I want them to sign and pay online, I just click that one, and I'll go in here and I'll change this, of course, if the amount is different. This links to the online invoice that they can pay for their retainer. And that's it. I send it. I'm going to send this just so that I can show you what it will look like for them. Okay. So it's actually tied to my personal email. So now that has been sent. Now let's see. So here it is. So here would be the email that they would get. It was a pleasure speaking with you, blah, 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 whatever it is that that I have said. So now they will go here and they actually sign it right from their email. So all they do is type their name and they've signed it. Webinar testing. They've signed the contract. That's it. Now I'm going to get an email that says webinar testing has signed. It's your turn. And I love that. They also have invoices. I have questionnaires. So let's say now they've hired me and I need information regarding their probate case, if that's what they've hired me for. I've got all these questionnaires already done. So here is the one for, here's the one for probate. I'm going to save that and now I can send it. This is already done. So easy. Send it. Again, remember, we've got these template emails. So now I have one that's for completing the questionnaire. Done. Send. It's just amazing. So I really love 17 hats. I use this for for retainers and to get when I'm bringing people on board, really for my intake process. It does have the ability to have invoices as well. So if you wanted them to pay, you could do that there. Okay. We talked about, electronic faxing. I use HelloFax, but there are others, MyFax and eFax. And then you've got online payment processing and invoicing. There are many different online systems. I use LawPay, and my case, if I have invoices, most of my clients are paying on a flat fee, so I don't really have invoices that need to be paid in my case. But if I did, I would have the ability to do that. So most of my clients are paying upfront, and I use LawPay for that. I like LawPay because they are made for lawyers, and they have the ability to take the fees, whatever fees are being charged, from your operating account and not from the trust account. So if you're taking a retainer that's going into your trust account for $1,500, they actually put the entire $1,500 into your trust account, and they take whatever that fee is, whatever the credit card processing fee is. I want to say it's like 1.9% or whatever. They deduct that from your operating account, not from your trust account. So I use them, and they give you two links, one for operating account and one for trust account. So depending on how the credit card, whatever the fee is, you have two different links. And so I have those links programmed right into 17 hats. So when people get that email that says that it's time for them to pay, like this one, when they click here, they're going to go to LawPay and make their payment, which works great for me. Okay, so I think that I was trying to have at least 10 minutes for questions. So please, if you have questions, go ahead and start putting them. I know I've answered them as we've gone, and I'm going to go back to make sure that I didn't miss any. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. I want to make sure that I answer your questions for you. To learn more, I have a new blog that I literally just finished, that is going to have all kinds of tips and resources for attorneys about branding and running a law practice and that kind of thing. So if you want to visit that, that would be fantastic. I'm actually working on a post that's going to have a link to all of these tools and resources. I hope to have that finished today. But please pop in the chat and ask questions. I'm going to stop screen sharing so that you can just see me for once. Let's see, where is oh no, I need to go here. Okay, so now it's back on to me. Okay, what scanner do you use? I use now here's the thing with my scanner. I have a really nice all-in-one that's a printer, scanner, fax, although I don't use it for the fax. It's by Samsung. It's the Samsung Express M2880FW. But what is not good about it is once I upgraded to the top level of the Wi-Fi, it doesn't work wirelessly anymore. It must be plugged into my computer, which is not the end of the world, but I would prefer not to have this on my desk, but I have to have it on my desk because it's tied to my computer. Before, when I first purchased it, it was wireless. So it could be across the room, upstairs, or wherever. And if I needed to print, I could print it or scan or whatever. And so that's not convenient, but it was like $300. So I'm just going to work with it until it doesn't. Everything else about it is fantastic. That's the only gripe that I have, is that it must be plugged into the computer and it's not completely wireless. Any other questions? If no one has questions, that means I did a really good job at explaining things, or that you all are just over it and ready to get back to work. So if you have any other questions, please let me know. I could sit here and talk about this all day. Oh, my camera is actually, okay, there we go. Any more questions? Any more questions? Come on, guys. Oh, I know what else I wanted to tell you. You little yellow sign up now. My next webinar, which is going to be next Thursday, same time, same place, is going to be on how to hire staff virtually, because that's a question that I get all the time. People want to know, how do I find my virtual assistant? How do you know if they're, going to be reliable? How much do you pay them? How do you go about all of that? So I'm going to do a webinar next Thursday, the same time, 12 noon, on how to hire virtual staff. So that yellow sign up button, if you are interested in that one, please sign up. I'd love to have you. I'm going to start doing these, like, I don't know if I can commit to every week, but at least several times a month. I want to have webinars on practice tips and things like that. Thank you, Regine. I'm glad you enjoyed it. April has asked how much the 17 hats cost. 17 hats is either $19 or $29 a month if you pay monthly. I have been using it since March, but they have it's ridiculously cheap if you buy for a year or 2 years. But because it was so new, I didn't want to commit to 2 years. But now that I've used it and I really, really like it, I'm going to do that. I think it's like $199 for 2 years, something like that. Oh, and I do have a referral link for that. So I'm going to put that in the chat in case you are interested. I'm all about referral links. There it is. If you are interested in 17 hats, it's great. And they almost all of these systems offer you a free trial. So I would say, try it out. I did 17 hats on the trial. I ended up signing up, and I know I'm paying a lot more than I have to if I would just commit to the 1 year, but it was new to me and I didn't know if I was going to really like it. So I didn't want to commit to a year or 2 years, but now I know that I'm going to do that, and I will definitely probably go ahead and upgrade to that. Any other questions? I hope this was helpful, and I hope that you all enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. If there aren't any other questions, I think I talked about everything. I talked about my blog. I talked about the next webinar. And I think that's it. Let me I'll wait a few more minutes to see if anybody thinks of a question, and then we will sign off for today. Do you have a handheld scanner? Great question, Regine. I don't have a handheld scanner, but what I have, there's an app called, is it called Scannable? Let me see. Let me just make sure. Yes. Another one of my favorites is Evernote, and Evernote has an app called Scannable. It's free, that allows you to use your iPhone or your iPad to snap a picture and scan. So if let's say that I do have a meeting with a client at their home or Starbucks or wherever, and there's a document that they need to get to me, then I use that app on the iPad to scan, and it scans it as a PDF, and then I can upload it to my case or whatever it is that I need to do with it. That's a good question. Okay, any other questions? Are these webinars available for viewing later? Yes, everyone is going to receive the replay. Everyone who registered for the webinar is going to receive the replay, so you will be able to view it. And I probably will upload it onto my YouTube channel and have it accessible from my website as well, because I know that, if you were late joining, or there may be some people that registered that aren't able to join us live, there is going to be a replay, and you should be getting that email not long after we wrap up. Okay, well, thank you all so much for taking the time out to join this webinar. I hope that you found it helpful. Let me put in my email address. In case you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Could you consider doing a webinar on phone apps too that you use in the future? Yes, I will do that, Regine. I will add that to my list, because there are lots of apps that you can use too. And I know that this may seem overwhelming. It may seem like it's a lot of different systems, but it's really not. I mean, and all of them are so user friendly. So once you get used to it, it's really not a lot. It's not a lot of different systems, and mostly because they all kind of talk to each other. They're all connected to Google Calendar. They're all connected. And so it's really not hard. Just takes a little bit of a learning curve. And I would say just, slow walk it until you get really comfortable with it. Okay, so I did put my email address in there. It's ngray@nakiagray.com. If you think of a question after this or later and you want to ask me something, feel free to email me. I'd be happy to answer your questions. Thank you all so much. I really wanted to do this because I did an in-person training at the Solo and Small Firm Conference, which was very well received, which was great. But I know a lot of people were wondering, well, how does this look or how does it work? And so I thought that today actually going in and showing you how the tools work would be good. So, okay, well, we're ending 5 minutes early if there are no other questions. If you think of something later, please send me an email. I'd be happy to help. Okay, thank you all so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.